everybody can hear us.
Let's talk sports. Alongside Eric Morton, I'm Dave Schrader, and the Packers are making moves with their coaching staff. What has stood out in the last week? Of course, they now have a DC. That's the first thing.
I mean, Jonathan Gannon, obviously a successful defensive coordinator for the 2 years he was a coordinator with the Eagles. I think they have 70 sacks his last year, so maybe music to the ears of Micah Parsons and that pass rush. One thing that really stands out, just like Jeff Hafley, also has a bit of a secondary background.
Yep.
So that worked out well, especially remember when Hafley really post safety with Zaire McKinney, so maybe that obviously. And then they go out and get Bobby Babich, who's reportedly going to be his
Defensive pass game
coordinator is the words I was looking for there.
Yep.
And another guy has a secondary background, has a background of being a coordinator. He was the coordinator of the Bills last season.
Who had the #1 pass defense last year.
And then he also has a linebackers background as well. Remember, his dad was a long-time assistant with the Bears. At one time was their defensive coordinator, but a heavy linebacking background with his father. So obviously, Sean Duggan reportedly following Jeff Hafley down to Miami. So there is a need there for the linebacking coach. We haven't really heard anything about who's going to be the linebacker. No reports yet on that one. But obviously having a guy that knows how to do that, a bit of a help as well.
Jonathan Gannon, for those unaware, was the Eagles' defensive coordinator when they made their first Super Bowl against the Chiefs. They had the #2 overall defense that year, #1 pass defense. They made the Super Bowl. He goes to Arizona to be the head coach. They haven't had a lot of talent on that side of the ball, and they haven't done that well on that side of the ball. I believe 6th or 7th worst in yards allowed this past season. But when Matt LaFleur played him, remember, it came down to that 4th down Jordan Love to Tucker Kraft play to get in the red zone and score the game-winning touchdown. After that game, he said that's part of the genius of the Cardinals. He didn't know whether it was man or whether it was zone until right before the snap. So some high praise even at the time from Matt LaFleur about Gannon. And if you're wondering stylistically, what will we see? A lot of man, a lot of zone. Get ready for more bend, don't break, more zone defense. It appears to be what Matt LaFleur likes. He is basically instructed his coordinators to do a lot of that, and many of his coordinators have done more of that here in Green Bay than at other stops in their careers. Everyone in Wisconsin's a Jim Leonhard fan. Why not? He grew up here, played college football here, was Badgers coach here. A lot of people thought he turned down the job when Joe Barry took it to probably be the Badgers head coach in waiting behind Paul Chryst. That didn't work out. What do you make of the team not waiting till Monday when they could have interviewed the Broncos defensive pass game coordinator and instead locking in Gannon Sunday by all reports?
When we did this last week, remember there was the reports that Gannon was coming in for a 2-day interview, which seemed significant. It was 2 days. I made the joke in the sports office as the second day getting a realtor. Turns out it was right, but I mean, did they kind of have to take the bird in the hand in that case rather than going, oh, we're going to wait for Jimmy, and then somebody else takes Gannon? And Jimmy Leonhard is in demand. He's got interviews with the Bills. He interviewed today with the Chargers. So just because you were going to interview Jimmy Leonhard doesn't mean he was coming here. He had other options.
He already turned it down before. Plus, there's also the option if Vance Joseph gets the Cardinals head coaching job, which Matt's brother Mike LaFleur might also get. If Vance Joseph got that job, he could probably stay in place and be elevated to DC in Denver. Of course, they couldn't talk to him because the Broncos were still playing. They could talk to his agent. You have to think a lot of communication went on in that department before they made their decision. I think everyone would just have loved it if it happened a day later, because then they get they talked to him and they figured it out. But it remains to be seen. One thing I tell a lot of people about this is it's not always the hot name in the coaching carousel that ends up on top at the end, on top of the mountain. When Matt LaFleur was hired, do you remember the biggest name that was being bandied about?
It would be Josh McDaniels, I think, was one of them.
Who went on to fail in Las Vegas, who had turned the Indianapolis Colts down at the altar a couple years prior. He's a great, great coordinator. The Patriots haven't won a Super Bowl without him as their coordinator, but he has not had head coaching success, and Matt LaFleur certainly has won a lot of at least regular season games.
Like you mentioned, Jeff Hafley. When they hired Jeff Hafley.
What are you, an owl? No.
Yeah, kind of. It was like, who is Jeff Hafley? They were hiring the head coach at Boston College. It wasn't actually a glamour pick. Turned out to be a pretty good hiring there. Maybe Jonathan Gannon, who does have experience within the league, that matters. So I mean, that's obviously. And then one thing, it's important to kind of lose maybe what Gannon did with the Eagles, because they gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. 24 in the second half when they lost that game.
Punt return played a large role.
A little bit. They got 14 points to get to the Super Bowl combined. So that defense
and
was
that turf
legit.
in Arizona, I was there. It was it was a slip and slide. I don't know what a pass rusher is supposed to do in those conditions. It was basically like playing in a snowstorm. The offense knows where they're going. The defense has to react, and that turf was terrible in that game. And that
Good one, Charles.
Yeah, and they may have won that Super Bowl if it weren't for that holding call, which was actually holding, but was called in a really big spot back then. Anyway, I digress. There's some other chatter that we have to get into. Let's talk about Bill Belichick. All reports he is not making the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Why should you care? Well, Mike Holmgren's been waiting to get into the Hall of Fame. As a finalist in the coaching category last year, he fell short of the 80% threshold needed. For those of you unaware, the voting structure changed last year. Coaches, contributors, and seniors are all lumped into one category. 7 are put forward. Of the 50 voting members, as I understand it, they can each only vote for 3, and any person has to get at least 80% of the vote. So that's a really tough mountain to climb. And everyone thought Belichick would make it, right?
Yeah.
But perhaps some people thought, oh, he's going to make it, I'm going to vote for someone else. Perhaps people hated Deflategate and Spygate. Perhaps people said, I don't like that coaches could get in without waiting 5 years like players. Anyways, he didn't get in. And why do you care? Mike Holmgren, because Bill's going to be the coaching finalist next year. There's only one per year. And until Bill gets in, Mike Holmgren's not going to sniff a chance of being a finalist again, much less getting in. Mike Shanahan's also waiting, Tom Coughlin. This hurts Mike Holmgren's chances of getting anything done anytime soon to get into Canton, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, it's not just Bill. It's the other names are on that list as well that are waiting. Mike Shanahan has 2 rings. Definitely makes a great
and
point.
an OC ring with Steve Young throwing 6 touchdowns against the Chargers. Yeah,
and I mean, he makes the case. If Bill Belichick can't get in with 6 rings as a head coach and 2 as a coordinator, it's hard to say anybody should get in. So, I mean, that's just kind of where a lot of people need to be on that.
This was all a reaction to Deion Sanders saying the Hall of Fame had become the Hall of Good. And during the NFL's 100-year celebration, they let in like 100 extra guys or whatever it was. It was ridiculous. So they tried to make it harder to get into the Hall of Fame. I think they're going to have a course correction. I fully expect some of these voting thresholds and rules to change, because I don't think we want a scenario where this plays out time and time again. I thought for sure last year Holmgren would get in and Sterling Sharp wouldn't. It was the other way around. I thought Eli Manning in his hometown of New Orleans for the Super Bowl was going to get voted in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. He did not. I think it's going to be really interesting. And I don't think it's all about Deflategate and Spygate and Bill Polian. I'm here for drama, so I think the whole thing's hilarious. But I think there's layers to this story beyond everyone hates Bill Belichick because he's a surly old man.
Yeah, I like how the Bill Polian stuff, it was like, get out in front of this, oh, it wasn't me. Like you said, it is the drama of it. I mean, it's at the end of the day, is Bill Belichick going to be a Hall of Famer? Yes.
At the end of the day, more drama. Is Giannis going to be a Buck next Thursday night after the NBA's trade deadline?
I still say yes. No, when you look at the complexities of making that move in season, I mean, the aprons of the NBA, where you have to move salaries, because I think it's more likely that it happens in the offseason. That's just me. But, I mean, there are teams out there that obviously have interest in Giannis. You know, Brian Windhorst said that the Warriors would be a really good fit.
They would.
And then I saw,
but it's hard to make that work.
Yeah, exactly. How do you make that work? The highest paid player in the league is Steph Curry.
I mean, Giannis would be a great fit for any franchise in the NBA, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but then you look like New York was always kind of a rumored one that always liked him.
The only place he wanted to go apparently this summer when trade talks were entertained very briefly, right?
Yeah. And in order to pick up him, they have to trade Karl Anthony Towns. Does Karl Anthony Towns come here? You know, you heard things like the Trailblazers could be an option, not necessarily to get Giannis, but to play a key part.
And using picks and swapping stuff.
Yes, you need. There will be multiple teams in this. There's no way that they money-wise could do it. I mean, if you're paying someone the amount of money you're paying Giannis, it's not straight up. So you need somebody else to kind of absorb that blow and have the draft picks that the Bucks want. Because to be honest, if you're trading Giannis to a team, you're assuming they're going to be good. So those first-round picks aren't going to be very good. But the Portland Trailblazers might have some really good draft picks, and some of them came from the Bucks.
Today, reporting from Shams Charania of ESPN, stop me if you've heard this before. I call him the boy who cried wolf, jokingly, tongue-in-cheek, because he's been reporting Giannis could be traded from Milwaukee for years. Today's reporting seems to have some steam to it. That Giannis is finally wrapped his head around really wanting to be moved. I think it's more likely that it's easier for the Bucks to get the haul they want easier this summer. But if teams are willing to step up to the plate and offer a great package now, it sounds like it could happen now. I think it's going to be hard to get it done, but if Giannis is finally open to it and ready to just accept that, and the Bucks are entertaining aggressive offers right now as opposed to saying we're not taking the call, To me, it feels like a sea change today. It feels like something could happen by the end of next Thursday with the trade deadline in the NBA. By the way, why do they do that during Super Bowl week? To me, it's the most asinine timing. You'd get way more eyes on it if you did it the week after the Super Bowl heading into the All-Star game, but that's neither here nor there. I think it could happen. I just think that the hang-up is the details. The devil's in the details there. But in any scenario, I think before the draft this summer he's going, right?
Deadlines spur action, and that is true here. If you're the Bucks, the one thing that John Horst wants to avoid more than anything is making the rash decision because the deadline is here. His deadline
I don't think he'll be rash. If it's great, he'll take it. If not, he'll say, we'll wait.
I mean, but does that make somebody else make a rash decision? Like, we're going to give you all this. If you're the Bucks, that's what you hope happens. But if you're John Horst, you don't want the other side to happen. That's just the way it is. I think most likely you're going to see it in the summer when they have. Maybe that deadline is actually right before the draft.
Let's do some housekeeping. WBAY's 2.3 will air a Minnesota Wild game Thursday night at 7 against the Calgary Flames, one of 4 games that we will be broadcasting of the NHL's Minnesota Wild. Next week we will have Super Bowl coverage from Santa Clara starting on Monday, reports all week long. I'm not going to out your allegiances, but you have a keen interest in this game.
Yeah, I might be a Patriots fan, but
he might be.
Hey, I have no bias.
No, not when we report. But this is a really interesting showdown. It's a rematch of 11 years ago when these two teams met. No one's the same except like Robert Kraft since then. Even the Seahawks owner, his wife's now running that team. It's going to be a totally different game. What do you expect to be the key for those teams? Now we're still like 10 days out.
I mean, I think one thing that's kind of interesting is the Drake May shoulder thing, because that talk he was limited in practice today. I actually had to be like, wow, they actually had an injury report. That he was listed as limited with that shoulder. I think that's as important as anything. The Patriots defense right now is playing as good as anybody right now. I mean, and to get to the Super Bowl, I'm doing this off the top of my head, Drake May and that offense had to beat the 5th best offense, the 2nd best offense, and the 1st best. Remember, there's 3 offenses ranked in the top 5.
Okay, but C.J. Stroud played terrible,
Yep.
terrible.
Did they play terrible
and Jared
because of what?
Stidham.
But did
okay.
But
I don't
did
think
did 2 of the 3 play bad because of the Patriots defense?
Where would you rank C.J. Stroud 1 to 32 in starting quarterbacks in the NFL?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You don't even have to pick a number.
No, I mean
bottom 3rd for sure. If you ask me, I don't know.
I think that it's all about the defenses in this one. And
yes,
I think that's very
defenses.
obvious but the Pats have proven that they can beat good defenses. It doesn't matter what C.J. Stroud does or what Jarrett Stidham does.
They've played very good defenses.
Yes,
I will sign up wholeheartedly to
and they're
second
going to play one of the best in the Super Bowl. I mean, if you look at
the Texans is really good.
Yeah,
the Chargers are really good.
You want to talk about a run.
They've run through some
run
defenses.
And when it comes to facing defenses, it's insane, the defenses that they've had to play. And now you get, what do they call, the dark side now of Seattle, or gone are the Legion of Boom. But now they get that group, which I don't think really has a star on that group, although Jared Reed, everybody.
Jared Reed.
I almost forgot he was still in the league until I was like, holy crap, Jared Reed.
He's not a star, though.
No, but I mean, I don't think it's anybody.
Former Packer, of course.
It's not the Legion of Boom that was full of stars, but this is a group that Mike Potato's got. That I always get their head coach mixed up, but he's got that group flying all over the place.
Yeah, Mike McDonald.
That's it.
Battle of the Mikes. Weren't you telling me like there's only been like 3 first name showdowns between head coaches, and they're all Mike versus Mike? Mike Tomlin, Mike McCarthy, Mike.
We don't need to bring up the first one.
No?
In Green Bay. I don't think Packers fans want to talk about the first one.
Oh, let's talk about Mike McCarthy for a minute. That was pretty cool this week when he went to his hometown Steelers, the introductory press conference, seeing him get emotional. Think what you will about how it ended and how the play calling was stale or not stale, how he and Aaron Rodgers had friction. It's really cool to see him in Pittsburgh, and it would be also kind of crazy and cool if Rodgers signs back with Pittsburgh to play with him. That would be just some drama waiting to happen as well.
I was literally looking it up when he came out. There's some chirping from Pittsburgh, some reports that McCarthy may go after James Campen to be one of the offensive line coaches. You want to talk about getting the band back together? Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers, and James Campen all
get
on the
Alex
same
Van Pelt and Rodgers will come back.
That is getting the 2014 Green Bay Packers together.
Josh sitting off the couch. Let's go.
Josh sitting away from selling houses because he's a realtor now.
Is he really?
I think maybe he's a developer. He does something with houses down in Florida.
Well, I cannot imagine him showing me a house as a realtor. Anyways, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again on Action 2 News at 6, and we'll see you every Wednesday at 5:30.